What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another one of my videos, and in this video we're going over the 2020 draft sleepers from this year's draft, this year's fantasy draft. So this video is going to be a little bit different than probably what you've seen. So it's basically going to be focusing around what to do with the players exceeding expectations from the 4th round or lower. And this video in particular is going to be the Diamond Hands edition. So the players on this list are mid to late round picks that should be held on to if you're trying to win this year. These are players that are playing well. These players have very little to make an owner stress out about or fear about. And these players' roles have stabilized and will not change much, if at all. The only reason why you should be considering trading these guys is if you're in a dynasty league that you're just trying to build for the future. You severely need some depth. Maybe you're in like a 18 or 20 man league and there's just nothing out there. Then I can understand it. These players do not fit with your category teams well enough, like our first player, but we'll get to that in a sec, at least in my situation. And the last reason is if you are in a losing season and need some type of change or spark, like maybe you're 3-5 and you're outside the playoffs, your team's not doing well, and maybe you want to add some depth, or maybe you think a different player might be able to help you more, or maybe 2 more players to get that depth or something like that. If you don't meet any of these reasons, you should be holding on to these guys. Diamond hands, hence the addition. All right, so this is the first player I'm talking about, and that is Jaylen Brown. So his average draft round was around the 8th round, and this guy deserves diamond hands because he has no major injury history. So throughout his year, he's in his 5th year now. He's missed 4 games, 12 games, 8 games, and 13 games each of his first 4 years. So I know 12 and 13 don't sound the best, but like 4 and 8 sound pretty good, and it looks like he goes down and up every year, and this might be his down year. And I just want to reiterate, he has the knee tendonitis thing going on, so he may miss a couple games here and there, but it's nothing to stress out about. I saw a lot of people originally talking about, oh, what should I do with Jaylen Brown? What should I do with Jaylen Brown? Knee tendonitis isn't going to make him miss significant time like D'Angelo Russell, where no one knew he had they called it a loose body part or something like that. Really strange way they referenced it, but no one knew about it, and next thing you know, he's out for 4 to 6 weeks when we just thought it was a bruise in his knee. But for Jaylen Brown, it's just knee tendonitis. He's been diagnosed. He's going to be fine. Another reason is because he is young and talented. He's only 24 years old. He was I think, a 3rd overall draft pick in his draft. And he's having a career year, and he's only in year 5. He's only 24 years old, like I just said. And if we look at these stats, his trend each year has been going up every single year, outside of his 3rd year where he just didn't get the minutes and the starting minutes, because I'm pretty sure that was the team that was just overly stacked. So his stats went down a little bit that year, but it was only because of the rotation. But he still got 26 minutes that year. So but if we just focus on this year, where he's played 26 games this year on 33 minutes a night. He's getting his shots, 19.5 shots a game. He's shooting over 50% from the floor, right? That's great. So first off, I want to say 50%, that sounds really high for a guard, and it probably is. But if you look at his trends, he hit 48% last year and 46.5% the 2 years prior. So like I said, he's just coming into his own. He's having his career year. He's just hitting his prime. I am not surprised, and I would not be surprised if he remains at about 50% for the season. Next up, 2.4 threes on almost 6 attempts a game, shooting 41%. Again, same thing with field goal percentage and attempts. It goes hand in hand with the threes as well. He's getting the same shots. He's just shooting a little bit better this year. Can I see him still shooting 41% for the year? Absolutely. He shot 40% in his 2nd year in the league, where he played 30 minutes a night. So I don't see much of a difference between that year and this year. 3 more extra minutes, but he's significantly improved, and he keeps, like I keep saying, he's coming into his own. His 2 point percentage still there, 55%, and he's been just slightly increasing it each year. I can easily see him shooting 55% for the remainder of the year. And let's see, so his field goal percentage as well. He's at 77% this year, and that took a huge step forward this year, or even last 2 years. Last year it took a step forward, and this year it looks like it's taking another step forward. Some nights he just doesn't feel it. So he has he's very consistent on most nights, and then one night he'll just put up like a 4 of 9 and just completely throw his percentage off whack. So that's what really kills him in that department. But still, 77, it's not going to hurt you. May not help you that much, but it's not going to hurt you. All right, so total rebounds, he's at 5.5. That's solid. He should be able to keep that up. Last year, he averaged 6.4, so he's actually coming down. So he might even be able to bump that number up a little bit. He's having a career year with assists. Now, recently, it looks like he's trying to be more of a facilitator and distributor, and that's causing more turnovers than I would like to see personally. But if he's going to get those assists, I'm all for it. So he's been very inconsistent lately. He's had 3 games with 0 assists, and 1 game with 10, and 2 with like another one with 5, and another one at like 6 or 7. I forget. I think it's 7. So that was his last 6 games. So he's all over the place. He's just trying to just become more of a facilitator. His steals are going to be there. His blocks are nice. His turnovers are still below 3, even though they're going up. I love that. And probably the biggest number you've seen is 26 minutes a game, or excuse me, 26 points a game, which from 2 years ago, he's basically doubling what he did 2 years ago, which is fantastic. Last year, he averaged 20. This year, he's averaging 26. And I can easily see him maintain these stat lines all year. Now, I know Kemba's been back, but he's been missing games. But even with that, Jaylen's still been hitting and scoring a lot, like near his average, or maybe even a bit above his average. I didn't check that out. I didn't even think to do the research on that, but that'd be an interesting research topic for another day. Anyway, his usage rate's there, and I could easily see him maintaining these numbers all year round. And the last thing I want to point out is his value. What is his value? Right? So the only way I would trade him, and in my situation, I have been trying to trade him. I believe he's going to play well for the remainder of the year. That should be out the window now. I know I forgot to mention before. I know Marcus Smart's out, but he's not going to take away much usage away from Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown is actually playing better than Jason Tatum this year, and Jason Tatum has just come out saying he's been very fatigued since getting COVID. So, and Jaylen Brown is actually the Celtics' leading scorer this year. Anyway, back to Jaylen Brown's value. This year's rankings per game, he's 32nd overall, and for the total, he's 28. So he's averaged about the 3rd round, late 3rd, early 4th round, and that's about where I see him. Like if you need to trade him and you're trying to get back more numbers and maybe better free throw percentage. Like for me personally, like I was trying to get to before, my situation with Jaylen Brown is I love him. He's awesome. He just doesn't. My team is great at points. I don't need his points. So someone like Chris Middleton would be a perfect fit for me. So I think Jaylen Brown is outperforming Chris Middleton this year, and you probably do too. So I think he has a little bit more value, but if you could do like a 2-for-2 trade for Chris Middleton, that's probably like the one player I would go after. So you'd be losing about 6 points a game, but you're going to be picking up about a rebound and like 3 assists, and you're going to pick up the percentages. The field goal percentage would remain the same, but free throw percentage will go up, and then you'll get a guy who can help you in free throw percentage in Chris Middleton. But again, I don't think Chris Middleton is as valuable as Jaylen Brown. So I would try and do a 2-for-2 where the second player would be more value than my second player to even out the trade. And again, so this year's rankings, he's around the third or fourth round, and if you like him, keep him. There's no reason why you shouldn't. Even the knee tendonitis it shouldn't worry you. It shouldn't. He's got to miss a game here and there, but that's it. All right, next up on my list is Jamal Murray. So his average ADP, average round that he was drafted was the fourth round. Now, before you think, oh, what do you mean? He sucked all year. He has sucked all year. But if you look at the very bottom of this screen, you're going to see this month's statistics. He's been averaging 21 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 1.3 steals, 2.7 threes at 37%, which is very solid. 44% from the field, which isn't great, but this is Jamal Murray. We knew coming into the season it was very unlikely he was going to shoot 50%, right? No, not the shots he takes. And then he's shooting 86% from the free throw line. All great numbers. So why is he on the list? Well, he's been playing really well as of late, even though he started the season off slowly. But he's diamond hands because he usually starts the season off slow. So if you look at this chart, this is his career month by month numbers. You look at October, he comes out slow. He comes off just not shooting the ball well. Field goal percentage at 39. Threes 24%, and this is 22 games we're talking about here. It's not like 5 or 6 games. No, this is 22 games. That's a lot of. That's enough of a stat to be like, okay, this is what he does in the beginning of the season. So you have to take that into account. So anyway, he's also diamond hands because he was hampered with a right elbow injury that looked like it affected his shot in the beginning of the year. Also, Denver is currently the 8th seed. Yes, the 8th seed this year so far at 15-13, and we're almost halfway through the season. So I know we have a lot of basketball yet to be played, but if they remain here, so remember, the NBA is doing something a little bit different this year where only the top 6 seeds make it, and then seeds 7, 8, 9, and 10 play a play-in game. So they do not want to be facing off against another team to play a playing game. They want to get into that 6th seed or better. And right now, there's only the 8th seed. And I think I believe the Spurs are at 6. And I think they're 16 and 11. So they have a game and a half above them. So Denver can easily move above that with how they've been playing in recent years. But losing Jeremy Grant actually really affects this team on the defensive side. They're just not the same defensive team as they have been in previous years with Grant. And you can see that, and especially with Michael Porter Jr. getting all of Grant's minutes. Porter Jr. is just not that defender. He puts up great numbers defensively for fantasy, but he's just not a great defender. And the last reason I would have diamond hands on Jamal Murray is because his role is clear as the number 2 option behind Jokic, and it's just going to remain that way. It's the Joker, Murray, and then maybe Michael Porter Williams, and then everyone else. He's going to get his shots. His role is solidified. He is going to put up those shots as well. All right, so like I said earlier, his average draft round was 4th, and his current rankings are very low. So his per game ranking is 67th overall, while his total is 50th overall. Now, everyone else on this list has outperformed or exceeded expectations, but he's actually significantly underachieving this year, except for this month. And so I fully expect Jamal Murray to be a force for the rest of this season. As the biggest indicator for why I believe this is his usage rate. In December, it was only 24. In January, it was only 23.7. And in February, it spiked up to 27.3, which I believe that's around 30th in the NBA. Maybe wrong, but I forgot to mark that when I was doing this. In any case, another reason I really like Jamal Murray for the rest of the season is, okay, he starts off slow. So if you look at October and November, he picks it up a little bit. So that's kind of what happened here too. You guys got to remember this year's going to be a little bit different because if you look, January, well, specifically February is usually his best month. In January and March are very, very good months. Close to February, just not as close, right? So that's the 4th, 5th, and 6th month of the season. Well, remember, we're in a weird year. We started in December. So he's going to his December was like a normal October for him. He struggled a little bit in December. He picked it up in January, which was kind of like his November. And now we're in his December where he's playing really well. And now after, you know, after this month, we have February, or excuse me, March, which will be his fourth month, which would typically be a January month. Then April will be his fifth month, and that's when playoffs are. What do you know? Well, look at that, guys. And if the trend continues this way, he's on pace to put up his February numbers for playoffs. So again, if you could go out and get Murray, I would go out and get him. All right, guys. Next up on my list is Julius Randle. He was selected around the ninth round, and I don't think anyone truly expected what he's done this season. So the reason why he's diamond hands is because he's the best player on the Knicks. And that's not, I know that's not saying much, but it means he's the number one option. He's going to get any look and every look he wants. His supporting cast is inconsistent, or it's just not living up to the hype. Like RJ Barrett was supposed to significantly improve this year. He really hasn't. He's been putting up about the same numbers as he has last year. Now, I haven't done too much research on RJ Barrett recently, so maybe he is starting to live up to hype. But as far as I've seen nothing about him, which it's probably an indicator saying like, hey, he's probably doing what he's done last year. Another reason for Diamond Hands is because he's only missed 16 games in the last 5 years. So he tore his ACL in his rookie season, so it will cause him to miss the entire season. But ever since, he's been as healthy as it gets. Only 16 games in the last 5 years. That's 3.3 games a year. And I don't think he's missed any yet this year, due to injury at least. Maybe COVID, I'm not sure. I don't think he missed any on COVID, but maybe like the team missed some games. And the last reason is because he's a triple-double potential. He has triple-double potential every single night. Overall this season, he's averaged over 36 minutes a game, shooting 48% from the floor at 80% from the free throw line, and putting up 6.4 free throw attempts per game, which is very solid. He's averaging 1.8 threes a game, 11 rebounds, 5.5 assists. Now, if those defensive numbers if he could boost those up, his value will go up tremendously. And he's averaging 23 points a game. All just offensively, he's a perfect offensive weapon for fantasy basketball this year. Now, why is he on this list and why is he ranked at number 3 for me? Well, over the last 2 weeks, he shot basically 50% from the floor, 80% or 71% from the line. He's hitting 2.7 threes, still putting up almost the same amount of rebounds, almost 11 rebounds a game. Now his assists have come down a little bit, and his defensive stats have really come down quite a bit, but he's also putting up more points at 25 points per game. So again, if you need an offensive juggernaut, Julius Randle can't get much better than him this season if you're looking for solid value. So if you're looking at this year's rankings, per game, he's ranked 36th per game, but in total, he's ranked 18th. So, and the reason why I have per game / total, like why I have both of them, is because they're both very different. And I feel like both have to be known, because the total means if you're high, it means you've played almost every game this season. Now, but per game, if you are high in per game, that means you're very efficient. So even though the contrast is very, very significant in per game to total, I would probably average it out to be 24th. If I was going to think about Julius Randle's value, I would round it about the 24th overall, because I would just take both numbers and divide by 2. Because you have to take into consideration, even though he's 36 per game, you have to take into consideration the 18th overall because he doesn't miss games. So I would, if you have to trade him for any of the reasons I mentioned in the first slide, if you absolutely have to, or if he just doesn't really fit your category team, then I'd be looking for someone around the 3rd or 4th round in terms of value. And the perfect player to gauge Julius Randle's value is Domantas Sabonis, who has been playing lights out this year. He's been great, and he's been doing the same exact basically been putting up the same exact numbers as Julius Randle. So if we look at Sabonis's rankings, his per game's 34th, which it's right there with Julius Randle's. And then the total is 21st. Again, right there with Julius Randle's. And if you guys look at the totals, if you want to total that out, that'll be about 27th overall compared to Julius Randle's 24th overall, if you want to add the numbers and divide by 2. But basically, what I'm getting at is, do not undersell Julius Randle. You want to sell him for the like a 3rd or 4th round player or someone who's playing at that kind of level. All right, guys, number 2 on my list, and you're probably going to be seeing this guy in a lot of good videos for now till the rest of the season. That's LaMelo Ball. So his average ADP, I mean, at least for me, it was around the 6th round. I think someone reached in my draft and took him in the 4th or 5th round. And then, unfortunately for that person, they dropped him and he sat on waivers for about a week till someone else picked him up. But that's besides the point. He was about the 6th round from what I can remember in the beginning of the season. And I would make him a diamond hands target because, A, he's a rookie. I mean, he's young and / he's a rookie. Right? He will likely hit some slumps like most rookies do, but he's been showing flashes of excellence, which is 3rd round talent or better. And he just became a starter, and he's finally getting starter minutes. So these stats on this chart are all the last 8 games as a starter. So these are all starter minutes. So he's been averaging 34 minutes a game, 34 minutes a game, 21 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 1.8 steals, 3.3 turnovers, which ain't great, but it is what it is. Shooting the ball 17.5 times at 44%, 44% clip, hitting 3.1 threes per game, taking 7 per game, and hitting at a 44% clip. Now he's hitting 90% of his free throws, and it looks like that's pretty much all we really need to talk about in the chart. Now, do I expect him to shoot at this high of a level for the remainder of the season? Absolutely not. I do not think that's going to happen. I think the field goal percentage will come down, and the reason why I think that's so high right now is because his free throw percentage is almost the same, which is crazy. He's not going to remain a 44% three-point shooter this year. That is just unfair to ask for. So, with that being said, can he average like 2.5? If he's going to continue to take 7 threes a game, can he hit about 2.5 threes a game? Absolutely. And 2.5 threes out of 7, that'll probably be about 35%. I don't know, give or take. And I expect him to be able to shoot around 35% for the remainder of the season. Again, he's going to hit hot streaks and he's going to hit slumps. That's what rookies do more often than average veterans. But I still expect him to be able to put up no less than something like 18, 6, and 6 with close to 2 steals and close to 2.5 threes. Like that's a fair assessment to ask for from Ball for the remainder of the season. And that's like the floor. I feel like that's just the floor for him. Because when he gets hot and he puts up these types of numbers, as he gets more and more experience, learns what he can and cannot do in the NBA, I wouldn't be surprised if he hits like 22 points a game, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals, and stays close to 3 threes a game. Maybe he takes like an extra 3 a game. So overall, this year's, for LaMelo Ball's value, this year's ranking, per game he's 50th, and his overall total is 38th. Now, that's low for me. And the reason why that's low is because he hasn't started. He's only started the last 8 games, and we're about 30 games into the season. So in the beginning of the year, even though he was getting like 25 minutes a game, he was, he's still just a rookie getting his feet wet. His numbers are going to improve, and even though you look at this year's rankings, I wouldn't necessarily take those and be like, all right, that's LaMelo Ball's value. Because if you look at these stats, 21, 7, and 6 as a starter with 1.8 steals, his comparison would be very comparable to Malcolm Brogdon. As Malcolm Brogdon, off the top of my head, he's shooting about 44% from the field. Now his free throw percentage is around 88%. He's hitting about 2.5 threes per game. Now his steals are down. They're like 1.2 steals per game. And he doesn't get as many rebounds. He only gets like 4.5 rebounds a game, which is excellent for a guard. But compared to LaMelo Ball, that's a significant drop-off. And they're hitting about the same amount of points and the same amount of assists. But overall, LaMelo Ball is outperforming Brogdon, especially as of late, as Brogdon has been struggling a bit. Now, if we look at Brogdon's rankings, per game he's 33rd, and his total is 20th. So I would actually argue and say LaMelo Ball should be more compared to Brogdon's rankings than his own rankings compared to where he is now as a player and where he's going to transcend to a player throughout the rest of the season. I honestly wouldn't trade him I wouldn't even consider trading LaMelo Ball for anything less than a third-round talent. And that's the bare minimum. And that's if I'm desperate to trade him because maybe I have too many guards or something like that. Otherwise, I wouldn't trade him. And I'd be asking for even a second-round talent. That's how good LaMelo Ball has been. All right, and my last player, my number one Diamond Hands player, is Zach LaVine, who was averaged out around the 5th round in drafts. So he has Diamond Hands. Like, we should put Diamond Hands on him because he's having a career year. He's producing first-round production. He's hitting 28 points a game, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 1.2 steals, 3.6 assists, shooting 52% from the floor at 85% from the free throw line. Now you look at those numbers and it's crazy to me. And he is the reason why I made this video, because only LaVine and Curry are producing 25 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists with 1+ steal, 3+ threes, while shooting 50% from the floor or better and 85% from the line or better. He is in a realm with Steph Curry, who is in contention, top 3 easily for MVP this season. And the reason why I specifically made this video, and it just dawned on me to make this video, is because I was on Facebook the other day, I think it was yesterday, and I saw 2 outlandish trades that people were trying to get rid of Zach LaVine for. And one was for Rudy Gobert. Straight up, Rudy Gobert. Like, what? I was like, wow. Someone, and what really boggled my mind was the person was asking if they were giving up enough to get Gobert. And I just shook my head, and I was so triggered. I couldn't believe it. And I don't remember what the first initial trade was that I saw, but it wasn't as bad as when someone asked that question. And that's when I'm like, listen, I got to make some kind of great video here to get people, to help make people aware of specific players and on how well they're playing. Because some people, especially because we're getting so many new fantasy basketball players this year, some people are just like, oh, well, I drafted him in the 5th round. He's probably just 5th round value. He's just outproducing his 5th round value, and I'm just going to trade him for a 5th round player. No. He is producing, and you need to collect on that production if you choose to trade him. I wouldn't trade him for anything less than a 1st round talent, maybe like top tier 2nd round talent. So over his current season, which is what I have listed down there, is his specific stats if anyone's interested in looking at them. And the last point I want to make is I actually think he can put up better numbers than this, because throughout the season, his usage rate has been at 30.7, which is a 16th overall throughout the season. But this month, the month of February, this is February 19th right now, so we're in a good portion through. We're at 33.8% usage rate, which would be 4th in the NBA if he stayed at that pace throughout the entire season. So, and I know Wendell Carter Jr. just came back, but he's not going to take much away, especially not from Zach. And I know Markkanen's out, so maybe that's a little bit where he gets the usage boost. But Kobe White's been struggling as of late. Otto Porter's been out as well, so that's a little bit more production. I'm actually making a case against me now that I think about it. But in any case, even if he goes back to his 30.7 usage rate, I don't see him veering off too far from being a 26, 5, and 5 guy with 3+ threes shooting well from the free throw line. Like, that's the bare minimum. And his steal should get better. He's actually pretty low with the steals at 1.1 right now. And I don't think he's going to be able to shoot 52% from the floor throughout the season. I think that's a little unfair to ask for, but I wouldn't be surprised if he shoots 48% from the field for the rest of the season. I think that's pretty fair to ask for. All right, guys. That is it for this video. Please remember to hit the like button if you found this informative and helpful. And make sure you subscribe to my channel, as I'm going to be releasing fantasy basketball content, 2 to 3 videos every week throughout the season. So thank you guys for watching, and have a good one.